Welcome to the Dyslexia Life Hacks podcast. My name is Matthew Head. On this episode, we have Keisha Swaby. She's got diagnosed with dyslexia and dyspraxia at the grand old age of 41. But this hasn't stopped her. She has a Bachelor of Science and is currently studying towards a Master's. She's a radio presenter for Radio Diamond, a speaker, an executive member of Jamaica Inspired. And if that's not enough, she's also writing a book about dyslexia and dyspraxia. I normally try and tackle one theme per episode, but she feels like she's about 12 themes in one. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matthew.
That's all right. So what I thought we'd start with is the radio presenting. How did you get into that?
Wow, that is a long story. So in 2016, I'd given up my job in local government. I was working for local government, and I decided to go and study for my BSc. And one day I was just on campus and I received an email from the student engagement officer. And this email was talking about a project with BBC Radio Manchester. So I saw it, but I was overwhelmed with all the information that they wanted. They wanted to know everything, what the theme of the project, everything they want to know about it. And I put it off. I procrastinated for a long time. And I thought, you know what? I'm actually going to do this. So I finally completed it. And I sent it off and I thought, I'm not going to hear anything about this. And one day I was in a lecture and I got a call from them, and it was them telling me that I got through for the project. So I had to go through, I think it was 3 stages I had to get through to bring my idea to life. And it started there. I did the project with them, really enjoyed it. And after that, I was invited to a 2 ladies show on Radio Diamond. Mm-hmm. And when I went on their show,
so is Radio Diamond a local radio station?
Yeah, it is. It's a local radio station in Manchester, UK. Okay. And they kept saying to me, Keisha, you'd be really good at this. You should really ask for a show and start your own show on Radio Diamond. And I was like, no, I've just been in the BBC. There's too many buttons. There's too many things to do, everything. And I was reluctant. I was really reluctant, and eventually I sort of warmed to the idea, and then it happened. So that's how it started, and now I'm on Radio Diamond for a number of years, a few years now, and really enjoy it.
Cool. So is that your full-time job?
I'm studying for my master's at the moment. So the radio is voluntary. So I have a show every Sunday from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And I do a lot of interviews on that. Oh, cool.
Do you cover any particular topics on your show, or is it anything and everything?
Yes, it's all. The basis of it is it's called Lady K Aspire to Inspire Show. So it's to inspire others. So I do that through music and also through interviews that I have with authors, business people who are making changes, making an impact in our community. I dig them out and I bring them to the forefront and we have a chat.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds kind of like a fun side hustle outside of your university work. I imagine it makes you brilliant at public speaking, because what's your master's in?
My master's right now is in health psychology. I've always been fascinated about the brain and how it works and why we do what we do.
Oh, right. Cool. So that probably ties quite into the dyslexia and dyspraxia stuff then. I imagine
definitely.
You're pulling back the hood and going, I see. So you got picked up at the age of 41. What sort of moment ended up pushing you to finding out?
Okay, so whilst doing my degree, the last few weeks of my degree, I made a conscious effort to get my work checked. So when I took my work to the library to get it checked, the lady said to me, "Oh, Keisha, I didn't know that you were dyslexic." So that was like...
That makes 2 of us.
That just stopped me in my tracks straight away. And I was like, wow. She said, the way you write things, the way you do things. I have a brother who's dyslexic and I can see all the traits that you have. That was a life-changing moment for me. It was like when you watch a movie and the light comes through the ceiling and it beams on you. And from then, I started the process in regards to getting the support, the help. So first and foremost, I had to get diagnosis. So after the diagnosis, I really realized what it is that's been the issue all along from the age of dot, really. And finally, I knew why I did things the way I did and why I am the way I am. And it was brilliant.
Yeah, because interesting because I got picked up at school at the age of 6. I was only really in my second year of primary school. And so it's something I've known about all the time. And, you get tied up with the emotional side of it sometimes and you feel like bits and pieces like that. But how did you feel? It must be a definite point in your life where it's like, bang, now I know what it is. And then you look back at your life to that point and think, oh, this all makes sense. How did you find school? Because you would have had no support. I'd have had support, but it's the 90s, so technology wasn't quite there yet.
The big difference is that I grew up in Jamaica until the age of 14. So I came from Jamaica. So if you can imagine, it's a different system out there. My parents wouldn't have known about dyslexia. No one in the school would have known about dyslexia. No one knows. A lot of people, it's just now the awareness is coming. So for me in school, I struggled with a lot out there because maths wasn't my thing and everything was sort of like maths orientated and I really struggled. So after the age of 40, coming to the UK, starting a new school, everything was different curriculum, different subjects. And at time I was just lost. I really lost. So I left school. I didn't come out of school with any GCSEs or anything. No. When I left because the subjects that I was doing coming to the last 2 years. So I was 14. So I only had 2 years left in school to get to 16. So when I left at 16, I was like, I felt so disappointed in a way, in a lot of things, because it was a disruption and the change and having dyslexia. I didn't know that I had it, didn't know that I had dyspraxia. Certain things like PE and all those things I had to do here in the UK was a massive struggle. So it was hard, really, really hard. But as I said, as you said earlier on in the introduction, I didn't let any of that stop me. So after I finished at 16, I went straight into college, enrolled myself into college, and I did my GCSE English because English is my fight. I love English, love writing and reading and stuff.
Really? For a dyslexic person?
Yes, well, because that's my creative side. Is like writing. When I was younger, I used to write poems and stuff like that. So it's all that creativity.
So how did you find... So you would have done your English GCSE twice, I imagine, once at secondary school and then back in at college?
Well, I did. I only did the English in college, and then I went on to do vocational qualifications. So I did, whilst I was doing my GCSE, I did IT as well, and I took that all the way up BTEC and go through. Because, as you know, leaving school without any qualifications, you have to go and do certain vocational courses or teach all of your GCSEs again.
Yeah. I had just about enough GCSEs, but I also have a BTEC National Diploma. So.
Yes,
It makes two of us.
Yeah.
Was the college experience any different to being in school when you shifted into doing English at college versus what you would have had to do in your kind of schooling?
I really I had a good teacher. She was brilliant when I was doing my GCSE. She was absolutely amazing. Miss McQuaid, I'll never forget her name. And she helped me. I remember doing Educated Rita for the GCSE. That's the piece that I did it on. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, enjoy writing about it afterwards. And she helped me so much. And when I finished, I came out with my C in GCSE. Yeah, so.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. It's more than I've got.
Yeah, but the thing is, that was the only thing I was interested in doing at the time because I thought, I'm not doing maths GCSE again.
No. See, I was the other way around. I could hammer science and maths even at school. And then be in the low class for English. Like, it always was a weird dichotomy, I thought, with that. I'd have different friends for different lessons because I'd be pulled out where all my neurotypical friends were who were fairly homogenous across the board and be put into different classes with different subjects.
See, but your creative side, that's your creative side there where you like the maths and all the technical stuff. So
that's where it's techie to me course.
Tech.
Oh yeah, I go home and read about how a bike was made at home.
That's there you go. That's your creative mind coming through there.
So you obviously got past and got your GCSEs and your BTEC. Then did you apply that in the IT industry, or how did you then find the workplace? Because you would have been, you'd have finished BTEC sort of early 20s?
Yeah, after I finished college, after I did my English and my BTEC in IT, I went straight into working for a union. I was a clerical assistant in the office there, which was very different. And I noticed the same thing. There was a lot of things in my work that I was doing and making a lot of errors, mixing up numbers, getting figures wrong, like taking messages for other members of staff, or I'd copy the number down, but I'd either miss a number out or switch it around or something. So there's a lot of struggles there in the workplace, and that went undiagnosed again, got another job, and then the cycle just continued.
Oh, I see. So you're dyslexic. I don't like to say downside, but I'm trying to think dyslexic traits.
The weaknesses, I'd say.
Yeah. The things that are not quite looked after by the school system, and particularly if you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You found that was kind of making it harder at work. They would come up, but like for me, I wouldn't have been in my 20s because I was still embarrassed by it. But now if somebody's like, why are you flipping numbers? Well, I got dyslexia. Can you bear with me? Well, you would have been just like, I imagine, do you sit thinking, am I just silly?
For a long time, funny you should say that, because that's another thing that affects us quite a lot. We've had this low self-esteem, the lack of confidence, feeling that you're stupid, and growing up as well, you get certain words thrown around, clumsy, which is something that I hold my hands up and say, yeah, if you give me that title, yes, because I know I do it.
Oaf.
So yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. So yeah. It's such a shame, isn't it, when you just don't know why, and you just kind of start gaining all these beliefs that are actually slightly incorrect. So, but you clearly decided, a bit like myself, but clearly later on, that you're like, this work thing needs to be changed, and I'm going to go to university. What was the catalyst that got you thinking about taking your BSc?
I always had a dream. When I came to the UK at 14, I went around with my grandma, and you visit people's houses, and I always go to the house, and there's always a picture of someone wearing the cap and gown, and I looked, because I'm a dreamer as well, so I kept always looking, thinking, what is it? What do you need to do to actually looking so royal in that? And from then it became a dream from I came here, but obviously circumstances didn't allow me to do that one, step straight out of school and college. When you're in a role, in a job, and you're feeling unfulfilled, you're feeling unchallenged, and you feel like it's time for you to go and try something else. So that's what it was. But I've always had the dream of achieving my degree, and I was happy to come out with a first class honours degree.
Wow.
Regardless
well
that
done.
I didn't even know that I was dyslexic or dyspraxic at the time as well. So
wow, that's impressive. What age did you give your all up and go to university?
So I wow, that's a good question. I started university in 2016. So I've done, once I finished this master's, it would have been 5 years. So I think it was late 30s, very late 30s I started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you, because your LinkedIn profile is you very, very proudly recreating the image you clearly had in your head from 14 to 15.
Yes.
I've never seen a photo of somebody holding the scroll so proudly.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt, because I had 2 graduations as well. Because when I started from the bottom. So I started from a foundation degree.
So when I was going to touch on.
When I finished my foundation, I had a graduation then, and that was a really proud moment. And then I had a second graduation when I completed my final BSc. So yeah.
Nice. And what did you study? Sorry.
It was applied science, exercise, and health.
Oh wow, cool. Science. You do realize there's some maths in there, right?
Listen, this course had 1 exam and it had a lot of practicals. There wasn't a lot of. There hasn't been. There's only one that I did a portfolio, a nutrition portfolio that had figures, and I had to get support doing that. So I didn't choose it because it had numbers. I chose it because it didn't have any. Yeah.
I love that. That's the dyslexia workaround, isn't it? I'm going to pick a couple like engineers with engineering degrees. I'm going to do the the course that only has the shorter 7,500 dissertation in it, rather than it's not the only reason. Yeah, it's not the only reason. I love engineering, but it seems to be a hive for people. STEM seems to be a hive for dyslexic people, where you clearly found a science subject that suits you without getting too heavy into the crazy calculus.
Yeah.
So do you think is going to be next for you post-university? Once you've picked your master's up, are you going to go on for a PhD, or are you planning to go
you're the second person who's asked me, and I'm feeling a trend coming on here, because when I finished my BSc, everyone kept saying, "Are you going to do the masters? Are you going to do the masters?" And I kept saying, "No, I am done with studying." And now I'm getting to the end of the masters. Everyone's asking about a PhD. For now, because I've done 5 years back-to-back studying, I just want to go out there now and create more awareness around dyslexia and dyspraxia in the bigger world, especially in the Black community. Yeah. So the platform that I have there with the radio, that is a great way of getting more awareness out there.
Yeah.
And it's not just, I don't only just work with the UK, so I do work with I'm an ambassador for the Jamaica Dyslexic Association out there as well. Mm-hmm. So my mission is to do as much as I can, get my book out as well, get my book published, and just wrap everything, encompass everything around the book and what I want to do to make a difference in dyslexia.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important to get it out there. It's something, unashamedly, this sort of dyslexia life hacks thing in the podcast is really written for the younger me at sort of 6, 8, 18, 25, 30, because I didn't know anything about stuff. Like, I knew what the education system gave me and some of the extra support, but some of the stuff I found out recently is that how do we get this outside of the kind of get it to the rest of the world so people see it, parents listen to it, adults, children, whoever listen and go, oh, that's me. Hang on. I didn't know there was a font that you could tweak or...
Yeah.
And I think it's important as well for hearing the different stories. So yourself, where you went on to education later on in life, didn't stop the struggle with school. I think there's quite a lot of that. I've had a barrister on who's actually sat there in front of one of people she's representing, and he's getting all upset about being dyslexic. She's like, that's two of us. And she said you could almost see the reframe going across his eyes where he feels it's a limitation. But hang on, but you're a barrister, studied law. What? And it's, So how did you touched on raising awareness in the Black community and the Jamaican community. Do you find it's kind of a lot more underreported in particular communities? Because I feel like it's probably underreported everywhere, but it's interesting to hear.
It really is very much, because there's a lot of stigma, embarrassment, shame, lack of awareness overall that exists, because some people think that because they have dyslexia or they have another learning difference that something is wrong with them, or they're just not fully as they should be, and they don't think they're normal with whatever normal is. So it is a lot. It's a lot of work to be done in that area. Plenty of work, and I've noticed that since I've been doing a lot of work around. I have a website called Empowering Dyslexics.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
The amount of people that's reached out to me, a lot of people have reached out to me since then, saying, "Oh, I have dyslexia," and I didn't know that. I know them, but I didn't know that they had dyslexia. So from me talking about my story, sharing my story with others when I was diagnosed, that's opened a whole new conversation within the Black community, especially in Manchester as well. I mean, I started the group with just myself, and we have over 252 members in that Facebook group now.
Wow.
Who is in there, and everyone who's joined it have got dyslexia themselves, or they might have a child who have dyslexia. And that is it just goes to show that there are people out there wanting information, yearning to know more about it, might be having their own challenges in their life with their children, with themselves, And, it's about finding out more, being equipped with that information, knowing what to do and where to go for the help, especially the support as well. Big thing.
And I think it's important. I'm surprised in my lifetime since I left education, how attitudes have changed. Like telling somebody I'm dyslexic now is a lot different to telling somebody when I was 21.
Because they don't turn around. What you don't hear nowadays, which I'm sure it was in the past, people don't turn around straight away and say, "Oh, what's that?" They don't, because they've heard about it. They might even have it themselves, because the figures are saying that it's 1 in 10. It's never is 1 in 10. I see it's 1 in 2. That's my because
possibly.
it is, because there was the other day I was somewhere, I was in the studio actually, and there was 3 of us there.
Yeah.
And the 3 of us were dyslexic.
Yeah. Do you reckon we all flock together though?
Because we draw, I think definitely so.
Yeah.
We do draw to each other.
I think you're right, and it's great to support each other. And no 2 dyslexics are the same, are they? No. So you end up swapping notes, which is what my website really is a collection of notes I've taken off other people over the years.
Yes.
It reminds me of a bit of a story. I was sort of saying about attitudes. Like my boss now is brilliant, and he'll come along and he'll have marked up something I've written. We engineers always use red pen to mark drawings up. And he's like, Matt, can you just tweak this? Or he's really kind. But I remember when I used to work in a garage, the sort of leader there, he'd done some training on how to look after young apprentices. He'd come back and he's like, they want us to help people with dyslexia. And it's not my job to help people with dyslexia. It's like, you can't ride. And I just thought you were thick, and then used a C word. You could fix the lorries, all right. But I am dyslexic, and I'm also not a thick. And it's like that attitude needs shooting, to be honest.
Definitely. And that's the thing. That's the ignorance that a lot of people, because they don't understand something, they just automatically think it's a bad condition or it's something that's really, really wrong.
Yeah. You're not normal, but
no.
It's a shame, because normal people, like neurodiverse people, have driven a lot of progress in the world. But unfortunately, there is the other arm where they're overrepresented in prison, all that kind of stuff. It's such a shame.
Wow. I was just reading an article on that a few days ago.
Yeah.
It's American based. However, what they were saying is the system is, there's so many failings that have gone through because they've passed through school, they've passed through college. How many have gone through to college? Many don't, because they get frustrated, and then things happen, and then that's like a whole new area untouched.
Yes, I think it's great sort of with Richard Branson and people like putting them up as things, but it's also great to talk to people like yourself, where it's like, no, you can be successful at this level too, and become this. Yeah. So, because Richard Branson, I sometimes feel like he's a huge leap. Like, God, why am I not a millionaire yet?
Yes. Yeah.
So no, it is great. One thing I was thinking I want to get onto is the dyspraxia side of it. I never been stated dyspraxic, but I did have to do a lot of coordination and sort of stuff when I was younger, and I'm also 6'2" with really long limbs.
Wow.
It kind of coordination is not my. It's okay, but it's not brilliant. But how did you find? We focused really on dyslexia so far, but the dyspraxia through the sort of younger ages until you then got picked up with it at 41.
Right. So when I was growing up, I noticed there's a lot of things that was happening to me, which I didn't know. Things like we were playing ball, learning to ride a bike. All those things. Catching a ball was a massive problem for me because I couldn't. And even to today, a lot of people, when I say this to people, they say, how can you not? And I say, no, I can't do the candy dance because I can't follow the instructions and I can't follow the movements. I can dance on my own, but not following someone to tell me that I need to make a step back, I need to go to the left and I need to go to the right. It's not happening. It's just not happening. So I noticed I was always tripping up. And even in my adult life, in the workplace, I would come home and I would see massive bruises on my leg. And I'm thinking, where did I get that from? How has that come about? Only to know that I've walked into the desk and forgotten that I'd walked into there. So I forgot about the bruise where that came from because the dyslexic kicks in. I can't remember anything and I'm full of bruises. So, it has been. And things like even simple things on my campus, I was so mindful because in the foyer area, we have a massive set of stairs. And it's always a problem for me, different stages and stepping down. And I always trip it upstairs or downstairs. And I remember doing it in college when I was at
Do you wear
college.
out a lot of shoes?
Flat shoes, slippers, bare feet. Bare feet is best.
Yeah,
and I remember I was in the foyer one day in my college when I was doing my GCSE, and that day was a nightmare. Everyone in the foyer, there was 2 little steps, just 2 steps for me to get down to the next level. On my face in the foyer in front of everyone, fell down, and it was a disaster, absolute. So I have a real thing about going upstairs, coming down the stairs, walking, even driving as well. That's a massive thing because spatial awareness, I don't have a lot of spatial awareness. So I'll see a car coming and thinking, no, I can't go because something's going to happen, and I'll sit there and wait. And going round a roundabout, I've gone around a roundabout in Liverpool 6 times because I just can't focus my brain telling me, the sat nav telling me to come off of that roundabout, but I'm kind of trying to concentrate and looking at the roundabout and everything else. So yeah, massive.
And now you know you have dyslexia and you have dyspraxia. What methods are you using now to help you support it? What have you discovered and kicked over in your sort of time with it? Now you go, that's what it is, I'll research.
So now I use my notes on my phone very often. So I take notes of everything because if I'll forget. If I don't write it down, I'll forget. Appointments and things, I have to ensure that, things like my car, I ensure that the time is set in advance than what the actual time is so that I can get there on time. Yes, Matthew, these are the little things that we have to do. And I write everything down, and to avoid me triple booking myself, because I've done that before, or I triple book myself because I didn't write it down in my diary to say that I've got appointments. So little things like, also another big thing that I always say to other dyslexics is, if you have a weakness, for example, we might struggle composing an email, sending an email, you might struggle doing anything like that. What you can do is skill swap. Skill swap meaning someone that can do what you want to do, but you're not too good at it. You can swap a skill with them. So they can do something for you that you're struggling with, and vice versa, you can do something for them that they might be struggling with. So that's a great way of helping out, because we can't do everything. And we can't think that we can do everything. So it's always good to, have that balance where if you identify a weakness, get the help and the support with that weakness and focus on the strengths, basically. Focus on the strengths. So I do, and going anywhere, I make sure that I give myself enough time, because I haven't got an awareness of time sometimes. I will miss, it's like today, I had numerous alarms on the go saying I need to be in a podcast at 11 with Matthew. So those are the little things I do. Another thing is, especially in studying as well, it can become overwhelming trying to read certain things. So it's best to listen. Use the audio. So I got Read Write as an assistive technology. And I use that and I highlight a lot of things. So, and my passion for books as well. So always marking things, making sure I'm referencing and know where to go back and find it. So it's a lot of things.
You got loads of Post-it notes poked out the top of
it. Stationery is another passion of mine. Just love stationery, all the colours. Highlight everything in yellow. Everything is in yellow. Even doing my work on the laptop, you look at my work and for me to remember to come back to it or do something else or whatever, it's being red or it'd be highlighted in yellow everywhere.
Yes. I used to do exactly the same thing in my uni reports. If I needed to put citation in or add more to it, I'd have it highlighted. Mainly, one of my friends, Doric is like a dialect in very local to a certain area of Scotland. And what he used to do, he's neurotypical, but he would write and basically a load of yelling and swearing to himself in the middle of the report. come back and do this later on, because he couldn't think of anything. And he said he nearly handed a report in. So he stole my highlighting idea, because he was like, I can't hand it in with all this Doric swearing.
No. It's the best way. It's the best thing ever. You just highlight things. And in the way technology is, things are really good for us right now if we're able to utilize it in the best way that we can. Because even studying, I was so struggling when I started my master's. I had massive imposter syndrome as well. And it was in lecture, I was sat there and I'd be writing, the lecturer's got the slides up and I'm trying to copy, and I'd be halfway, just few lines, and it's right, next slide. Are you finished? Is it okay to move forward? And I just say yes, because I feel like I'm holding up the whole class. And then I've missed all of that. So when I got when the DSA, I started my master's in DSA, gave me the support. So I had assistive technology where I can record all the notes, the PowerPoint, record everything that they're saying, and I can go back to it and do it. Things like that. It's just life-saving for a dyslexic.
Yes. The smartphone is a complete and utter weapon, isn't it, when it comes to that? Calendars, reading stuff, recording stuff. Yes, you must have all the laptops and with all the assistive software on for the DSO.
Yeah, Dragon and MindView and all of that.
Yes. Dragon seems to be the weapon of choice by everybody. I get the impression.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I need to explore a bit more though about the pens. I need to get a bit more. Yeah, is it Claro? Is it Claro that does pens to read a pen?
Yeah, it's not Claro. It's
Is it?
Begins with A or OC something.
Is it C pens? Not C pens, is it? No,
I can't remember. I'll put it in the show notes, which will be available at dyslexialifehacks.com/podcast. But yes, I know what pen you're on about. It reads stuff which is really interesting. I need to dig more into that. I might try and see if they come on and talk about it.
Definitely, yeah, that would be really good. That'd be good.
I think so. So that's more on the dyslexia side with the assistive tech. Is there anything you can do assistive-wise with dyspraxia, or any kind of... It's not something I'm too familiar with, but is there any way you thought, now I have dyspraxia, how can I assist with that in terms of learning new skills or... apart from wearing rubber-covered shoes and shin guards.
For me, I think it's just deep concentration, because, as you know, our minds go race at 1,000 miles an hour. We have a million things going through there at the same time. And sometimes it's all about focusing on that one thing, paying attention, pay real attention to what you're doing, because I'm at a stage where I will sit down my laptop and I'll say I'm going to do this, but then I end up doing something else because my mind's been thinking about something else, and that might be more interesting, more interesting for me to create a flyer for my show that's coming up on Sunday than doing my work that needs to be doing, things like that.
Do you find you have to put it to bed because you can't switch your brain over otherwise?
Can't switch it off.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to do the same. I need to, even silly things like I need to go wash that mug up. I'm like, I have to go do it, and then I can come back to whatever task it is. It's really bizarre, isn't it?
Definitely, it is.
I suppose, do you play any sports or anything, or is that a complete no-no?
That's a complete no-no. I've not played any sports for a long, long time now because of that reason where it's like playing badminton. I'm running the opposite direction. But when I was younger in Jamaica, though, I really enjoyed running, and I was really good at that. Yeah. Really good at that side of things. Yeah.
It's probably not so heavy on the coordination, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a love it, but it's the coordination part of things. It really is. Even things like going to the gym as well. Yeah. Remembering how to use the machines and how to do certain moves, and it's all about trying to remember things at the time. With dyspraxia, I think dyspraxia, it affects you in a way of it's your daily movements that you make, your driving, the concentration level on that, being able to get somewhere. Sometimes I arrive at a destination and I don't even know how I arrived there. I just got there. I don't remember the part. It's like a blip in between part of the journey.
Yeah, you were getting in the car, climbing out of it, but the middle bit is just...
Yeah, just a blip.
Oh, wow. So I thought if you'd like to, touch more on your book. You're currently writing a book about dyslexia and dyspraxia. I wonder if you'd like to share a bit more what that is. How far along are you writing it, and what's the plan with it?
Definitely. I'm almost at the end of that. I'm just like tidying up everything and adding some more to it as well. And so what I've been doing is getting my amazing people in my network to, sort of give a little bit of input as well into that, to bring more people into it also. But the book is sharing my story, my journey, being diagnosed at that age, all the challenges that I had growing up from Jamaica, coming here to the UK, challenges that I had in my workplace, studying, college, university, all of those things. And also sort of to motivate others to show them that, whatever I've done and whatever I'm telling them about in the book, it's nothing to impress them. It's just to show them that whatever it is that you want to achieve, you too can do it. Don't let anything hold you back, regardless of having dyslexia or dyspraxia, regardless if you might have found out late, you might have found out earlier. It's nothing to stop you because it has nothing to do with intelligence whatsoever. So it's just like a positive, just to empower parents as well, to let parents know what to look out for in the children. Myself having 4 children and having one diagnosed with dyspraxia as well, and others, my other children as well, going through the process. So it's something that's close to my heart, massive to bring more awareness to it, especially to the Black community, because there's people out there that's been waiting for this book for a long time. I don't tell you that. There's no pressure on me right now, but I'm excited about it because I don't want others to go through what I've gone through. This is why I'm so passionate about it, for myself, my family, other people around me, other people, children, because what people don't understand is it's a hereditary condition. These conditions are hereditary. So chances are you need to know what to look out for, because if you have it or someone in your family, more than likely there's a chance that it's gone through. It's just gone through the line where you'll pick it up. And I've noticed that a lot of people are becoming more aware because they've identified it in their children, and then they found out that it's hereditary, and then they need to know about themselves as well. And eye-opener moment for them to say, "Whoa, wow, this is what it is."
Yeah.
So,
I've spoken to a few people like that where it's surprising if people get picked up in their 40s, 50s, 60s, where children have gone.
Yeah. And it ruined lives. It really ruined lives.
Yeah.
I have a friend who she was on the subnormal. She's an amazing person for you to speak to as well, because she was on the subnormal documentary on BBC One.
Oh, okay.
And she went to back in the 60s when the schools it was just on BBC One about a month ago, and the schools that they had at the time, it was subnormal education, but they didn't know, coming from the Caribbean parents didn't know what it's special. If you hear something saying special and you come from the Caribbean, you're thinking that's amazing. But it's the term that they were using. And she now, she's in the 60s, and
when you said special, my head did the school mocking that we were done in Britain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s and stuff. So she has had a really horrendous experience.
Yeah.
And she totally holds all of her experience responsible for how she is and what she's achieved, what she hasn't achieved. So it's a massive, massive thing. Massive.
Yeah. It really surprises me. I heard one of the sort of guests a few episodes ago. She's a barrister, and one of the key things I thought was really interesting of her story was that she was never told she was stupid. And it's like the first dyslexic person I've met who was never told they were stupid. And it's interesting how she didn't have any of that kind of hang-ups with it. But having somebody who's probably running a high IQ being told for all of their life, and that kind of horrible emotional side of it, and where you end up. I mean, I think some of it, trying to spin a positive out of it, I think some of the people who've pushed change and innovation have got a fire under their feet, went, no, I can clearly do this. Here we go. Or this system doesn't work for me. I'm going to start a business and change it. But how many, that's maybe one out of a lot of people. What is going on with the rest of them? Where they just find normal jobs, or low-paying jobs or even turn to crime or just spend their whole life feeling horrible inside. And that's the people that really need to find out some of this information.
Definitely.
So your book is semi-autobiographical as well as more of a help guide as well? Is that kind of
definitely.
how it's pitched?
Yeah, it's about sharing my story and helping others with it, with tips and ideas and motivation.
Brilliant. I think the story bit certainly helps give somebody, I quite like when I'm listening to any sort of self-help book, the kind of the story, the narrative through it rather than just being cold. I think that helps people identify, doesn't it?
Definitely. And it's about relatability as well, because one of the worst things you can say to someone who's dyslexic is, no, you're not dyslexic. You do all these things so brilliantly, but what they don't, we don't walk around with a sticker saying, I am dyslexic. So it's been a real eye-opener because everybody was shocked, basically, because they say, you do all of this thing and you're brilliant at doing that. And I said, yeah, but that does not define, it doesn't have anything to do with my intellectual or my intelligence. It might take me a longer time to do it, but I am going to do it.
And you're already used to fighting, so
yes,
it's
nothing.
That is it. It's like you do all these things, but maybe it's because I am dyslexic. I'm actually talented at some of these things. Like
it's a superpower. I own it as my superpower. Exactly. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to be labeled and I don't want to." I'm like, what? Listen, you are one of the most special people. You are so special because we think differently. There's so much that we bring to the table, the creativity, the ideas, the thinking out the box, the big dreaming. We dream big.
As a 14-year-old seeing a picture hung in somebody's wall with their graduation gown and having that glued in your head for years until you made it happen.
Well, it's like the radio. What I didn't go into is the deeper part of the radio. Growing up in Jamaica, where my great granddad had a radio, a little blue radio, and it had two little knobs on the front. And I was obsessed with this radio. And how is it I can hear someone's voice coming through, but I cannot see who it is that's inside this radio? Yeah. So I was obsessed from then, and I was only a little girl. And I always said, one day I am going to be that voice behind in that radio. And I'm doing it now. So it goes to show that
brilliant.
The dreams that you have in there, it's just about, it will happen. It will just happen. Just keep it going. Yes. And the way it all happened, I was like, wow, because very emotional.
No, that is really impressive. And I think it's important that people do take away from that you can make these things happen. The thing you have to do is the work.
Exactly.
The work and the grind.
And sometimes being in the right place at the right time also, because when I look back at how everything panned out since I've left employment, is that if I hadn't left employment, I would not have been diagnosed. I would have plodded along in that job until I was 60. I wouldn't have, my dream to be in the radio wouldn't have fulfilled because I would have been in that job. So everything sort of happens for a reason. So sometimes when things happen in your life as well, you think, oh, why is this? I can't give up my job. I've got 4 children, I've got a home and everything else. But I had to look beyond. Yeah. And the doors that have been opened since I've done all of that, it's been amazing.
Yes, I completely agree. It's the same for me when I left my mechanic job. Just what has happened in the decade since.
Yeah.
How did little old me end up doing that?
Exactly.
And it kind of you pinch yourself sometimes. Like, how am I here?
Yeah.
I'm a huge motorsport fan, and now I design race cars.
Wow.
And it's like,
no, you design race cars. I need to know more. We're going to have another chat.
Definitely, yeah. But it's, I went all the way through from watching racing and motorcycle racing as a kid to spannering, fixing lorries to go to university, to designing motorbikes, to designing high-performance cars. And you're like, how did I get here? And then starting a website, talking to people like you, listening to lots of podcasts while I was on my grad scheme, now doing one. And you're like,
So that means you must be. You need to get Lewis Hamilton on your.
I would love to talk to Lewis Hamilton.
I would love to as well. I'd love an interview with him. But I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there that I'm after Steve McQueen, Lewis Hamilton. I've already got Benjamin Zephaniah. I interviewed him about 2 months ago.
Steve McQueen. Do you mean somebody else?
Steve McQueen. He's the director of the Small Axe series on BBC One. So
I was thinking the 60s movie star. I was like,
no, not that one.
You're going to struggle with that one.
No, not that one.
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few kind of rapid fire questions. They don't need rapid fire answers that I kind of like to finish the podcast off with. But I feel like we probably covered most of them, but I'm going to ask them anyway. So the first one really is, what prejudice had you had about dyslexia that you have proven wrong?
People thinking that you're stupid or you're not good enough. And also, in general, the way people think about these learning differences, it's just about changing their perception of it, helping them to understand that there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong at all with having any of these conditions.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. I think kicking the prejudice is really important. My other one, how would you describe dyslexia now if an alien come down and asked you what the hell this thing is?
If an alien was to come and ask me, I would say, alien, if you've got dyslexia, you are very, very special. You are very, very, very you're unique in a way that you have all of this strengths going on for you. The communication side of things, being able to network with people, being a people's person. I would just sell it to them.
Yes, brilliant. I like that. I really do like that. The gift of it. And of course, this being a Dyslexia Life Hacks podcast, I'd be amiss without asking, do you have any dyslexia life hacks?
Yes, as I touched on before, a skill swap is a big thing. Utilizing the support that's available to you. Utilizing things like the technology, like your smartphone, as we were talking about earlier on, using the apps on there to help you to formulate your day, formulate whatever it is you need to do. Just use what's there because we have it at our fingertips, and we're so fortunate that years ago many didn't. So don't struggle in silence either. Talk to other people who are going through the same thing that you're going through. Don't think that because they might be doing this thing or whatever, they've gone through most of the same experience as you have. So it's about relatability, finding people that you can relate to, finding people who have had the same lived experience, and find inspiration and look into what other people have achieved as well. Because if I can't see it, I can't be it. So it's important for people to see me as a Black woman, as a dyslexic, out there doing all the things that I do. Is to show them that, listen, it's all here for anyone who want to be, who want to go after it and who have the resilience to go for it as well. Brilliant.
Well, that is great. And I think that's brilliant advice to anybody listening. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I feel like I've learned a lot over the last few minutes. So, thank you everybody else for listening, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Matthew. It's been a pleasure.
Goodbye.